Hello, everyone. It's a joy to be here with you today. And I'm sorry that I was not able to be present earlier for some of the other courses that were being offered. We're at the very end of the University of Notre Dame semester, which meant I was having my last classes with my undergraduates. And though they wanted me to abandon them, I did not abandon them. Today I'm here to offer a kind of account of the nature of mystagogy, that most sort of complicated thing in what I've now intelligently called RCIA, OCIA. I'm sure this has been a topic of conversation throughout courses. But I want to deal with, initially to introduce it, to deal with the problem of mystagogy in general. But before we do that, as any good instructor ought to do, I don't want to just tell you things, but you're also responsible for your own education. And so I invite you, I don't believe in randomly talking to people, and also this is being live streamed, so that would be strange. So what I would like us to do is just for you to take some notes for yourself, to pause for a moment before you begin and write some notes for yourself. How do you do mystagogy and wherever you're from? I don't know where you're from, whether you're watching this from afar or I don't know where your context. So what is that context? How do you do mystagogy? Do you reserve mystagogy, properly speaking, for the time after the Easter sacraments? Do you do it at other times of year? And what would you say you'd hope to learn or discover today? Sort of set the objectives for your own learning. This way, if you don't appreciate what I have to say, you only have yourself to blame for it. So I wanted to begin then with a question. What is mystagogy? And of course, you know that it's the period after initiation, right? That strange period in the Easter season that, if you're quite honest, often doesn't work quite all that well. At a lot of parishes, it's an occasion to introduce a variety of strange things that didn't get covered during a formal education process preceding it, right? Here's how you sign up to be a Eucharistic minister. Thanks so much for joining the church. We're really grateful that you joined the church. Here's what stewardship is, especially financial stewardship. We'd like to introduce you to that. Maybe some conversation about vocation or other dimensions. But otherwise, it's a fairly bereft period. Further, if you hadn't done the preceding step, or the preceding steps hadn't been done as well as they could, it's possible that the very people who ever so happily entered the church simply disappear entirely at this stage. And so to do any sort of formal formation with them seems an almost virtual impossibility. And yet I think part of the problem, and I'll say this today, is that we don't actually understand as a whole what mystagogy is in the church. It's not reducible to a period of time immediately after initiation. Mystagogy, of course, is the privileged modality of what the Catechism calls liturgical catechesis, which aims to initiate people into the mystery of Christ. It's an initiation into the Christian mystery, who is Jesus. In particular, he is the supreme mystery. And it proceeds from the visible to the invisible, from the sign to the things signified, from the sacraments to the mysteries. It's a deeper appropriation of ecclesial identity, of Christological identity on the part of the person initiated. It never ends. It's the very existence that all of us live here and now. But why doesn't it generally work? I think I highlighted some of the things, right? The problem of a sort of academic year model, to be frank, to the whole approach, right? At the end, you have nothing left to do. It's like the last week of the semester, and you just cram as much in as possible to a relatively, at this stage, uninterested group of people you might be working with. But I actually think the problems run deeper, and they run deeper based on a mistake that I think was practiced in a variety of pastoral contexts relative to mystagogy. That is, there's a problem with time, as I've already said, right? We don't have time. We don't do it well. In some sense, parishes spend themselves so intensely during Lent. It's nothing like some good American Pelagianism, right? Like in Lent, we will prepare ourselves for the resurrection of our Lord, and we'll do as much as we can forever and ever, right? I mean, I work with undergraduates, and so I hear this all the time from them, right? What are you doing for Lent? And they're like, I'm doing this and this and this and this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have children, so I dialed that back a little. Asceticism is a much longer process for me. They're like, I'm going to get up in the middle of the night. And I was like, yeah, no, I know what that is. That's just normal. So